as you go towards your success in 2021. Very excited to have you all here today, whether you're with us in Zoom, Facebook, or the other social channels. This is an interactive live stream. So if you have questions, comments, or want to share and interact, type it into the appropriate chat box and the team will answer, and we'll try to answer as many of these questions that come to us live as possible. Laurel, today we've got an interesting topic about passive language. Looking forward to seeing it and what we're going to be talking about. So how are we doing today, ma'am?
Well, we're good. I'm back. The patient is back. So everybody's saying, am I feeling better? So I don't know that this whole group has heard. So yeah, I just had an accident. They had to take my spleen. I shattered it. They had to dig it out of all of me. And I got a whole bunch of broken ribs and all the cartilage in between. So a little bit of pain, but I'm going to survive, they told me today in my little doctor's appointment this morning. So I thank God. So yes, one of my first live broadcasts back. So thanks. If you think I'm looking good, I'm faking the pain. I'm here like leaning on the camera. But it's good, and I need to be back. So the last few weeks, we've really been talking about New Year, New You. We're still really early in January, and your commitment is critical. And so I just want to kind of weigh in. What was your commitment when we did the New Year, New You? What was your big commitment, the big one for you? I can share a lot of our more advanced folks. I mean, our conversations are how much we're going to buy in new assets, right? So a lot of you are on the income conversation still. You're wanting to make your first 120, or you want to make your first $500,000. Some of you just looking at the list because there's a lot of big table superstars out here. You're going for your first $1 million, right? Some of you go on for your first $100,000 a month. So what's the big one? You got to nail it. And on the other side, like I said, it's getting these businesses to make money so you can go invest in new assets. And there will be a lot of new assets at the playing field this year. Prediction from a lot of the economists is that the market's going to rock and roll, cryptocurrency is going to rock and roll. So you didn't miss it. There will still be some, movement. As long as there's movement, there's opportunity. So for those of you that are in that category, but let's get out here. What do you guys, what is your commitment like? And commitments, again, the SMART goals, right? Specific, accountable, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and there's a time frame to it. And we're going to talk today about just the I'm going to say skills, the techniques that are going to support you to get there. Because a lot of you, I don't want to see the same damn goal I saw last year and you're not going to go get it. You have got to get committed to getting your goal. It's critical, non-negotiable. Notice my languaging patterns. I want you to start writing this down. It's not negotiable that I am going to go get me. Look at my little glasses on, see some of these. My first 10,000 a month, Marcia wants, right? Stefan wants my first 10,000 a month, right? Harper wants 10,000 a month. Staying focused on the plan. All right, so a lot of 10,000, and then Jason, yep, $100,000 months by May. So a lot of you, the way you're going to get it is getting non-negotiable with yourself. So let's look at a couple of those areas. And the two that we're really going to look at is your action. What are you doing all day? And I know some of you think, oh my God, she's going to beat a dead horse and talk about a revenue producing day again. And I am, because I want, I would love, and I know it's a lot for our team to process and look at, but what are you doing all day? Literally, what is your action? And your action is really supported by your language and your thinking. So if you go back to expression of your power, where I talk about my RALT model, if you want a new result, what's going to drive your result is action, right? So RALT, right? What's going to drive your action is your language. What drives your language that comes out of your mouth is the way you think. So we're not going to change your thinking. That's a long walk, right? Go to Bob Proctor, go to a whole bunch of other people and, journal and meditate and do vision boards, and all those things are awesome. I can promise you I shortcutted it. And everyone who shortcuts it, we teach you how to make money. You've got to teach you how to make money. And so we're only going to talk about action and language. So back to action, and let's dive into action. Let's dive into language for the day. Right. So in your notes, which we're going to start doing more series of learning through here. This is all going to go to our podcast. So if you're listening on our podcast, this was recorded on our Ask Laurel. Always go to asklaurel.com and ask questions, make requests. We will always be digging questions out of there, putting it on our floor and having our team call you back. But what do you do all day? And your commitment, what's the hashtag we're working with Thomas right now? the hashtag for their commitment? Is it hashtag 2021 commitment?
I believe so, yes. Steve, can you confirm that? Sorry. Put that in there here, 2021 commitment.
And put it over in our Millionaires in Training group. So, we want thousands and thousands of more group members. We want to have one of the largest groups following with a whole bunch of people that are millionaires in training. And so put your commitment out there, and then honestly post your calendar out there. I was going to say send it to homework, but unless you're a coaching client or big table client, that's what you pay for. Like, send it to your coach. Look at your revenue producing day. So let's just talk about your action. What should you be doing all day? And a lot of you, because you're in this little home environment, I'll be here for a little bit longer, just for my healing and comfort of my sitting pain. But normally I don't. I mean, I get up and I'm out of here. I take my daughter to school, and I'm off to the office. Like, there's just such a different environment when you're with people or you're with your team and you're not doodling around your house. I mean, Thomas, you work at home, the structures. You've got to put a lot of structure in place to be able to do that, especially if you have kids homeschooling, you've got, meals to cook, you got laundry to do. Like, a whole household isn't like without a lot of activity by itself. So you've really got to carve that out. That's why we moved up. And if you saw in 2020, we moved up. The first 2 people that you need to hire is some home help. You've got to get someone to get your groceries, prep your food. They don't have to make it all. You can still do some of that. Help your kids with homework, do your laundry, like keep up with things while you're doing this. So home help moved way up in the totem pole of needs, and it was next to your setter. That person who's going to be setting appointments, call it an assistant, call it somebody who's really going to be setting time for you. And those of you, there's a lot of big table folks out there. You have to have these 2 people. They don't have to be full-time, right? And Todd now has, we have a VA service for those of you that want that setter. I need to remember that we promised that we are going to train some of his VA people. I'm going to write that down. Train his people should know how to set appointments for your Ask Tell Asks. So if you think about your day, what do you need to do? Number 1, do not wake up and react to everybody's request of your time, right? I want you to get up and I want you to have your yes energy day. What do you need to do today? How many Ask Tell Ask? How many more leads? Like, you drive your day. You should have it written all over your walls. You should have it. I mean, a lot of you, visual stimulation and visual cues, you're not using them enough because you put everything in here. So I would highly encourage you to use visual cues. And our minimums. Our minimum for all of you, especially those of you that want that $10,000 a month, it's 21 people a day. So you need to get up in the morning, say, where am I going to go find those people? Am I going to be on, which social channel? My God, there's tons of them now, right? I know a lot of you, Clubhouse, you're going to see us out there more and more. We want to make sure when we launch, we're highest efficiency using that. And I mean, TikTok's got a whole new business channel. It's not new, but it's been out there for a while. So it's not just Facebook. Are you on TikTok? Are you on Instagram? Are you Twitter? I mean, if all you pulled out was a few of those per social channel, I mean, what would you say? There's probably a good, 5 to 8 good social channels right now, Thomas?
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to see more and more of those as they develop into niches, based on like demographic groups. Parler was a good example of a market need for a more free speech type social platform. And you're going to see more and more of that as time goes on.
Yep. Meetups, I know, and just Steve, I know Andrew's there with you once you ping him. I mean, we didn't let our meetups go. We had over 4,000 people on that platform. You can still market to them. It's sort of interesting to get them to show up, but there are so many platforms. So my point is, where are you going to, I want you to drive your day instead of react to your day. So driving your day is, where am I going to go get my leads? That is the first thought during the day. Where am I getting my leads? Right? And then where am I going to do at least 2 sales? Remember, you got to get 2 at 25 is the model you're all taught. And if those of you that are brand new out here, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of brand new, a lot of repeaters out here. So you've been to the marketplace, that's the goal. You've got to get at least 2 sales a day, every day, consistently, and then do at least 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours of Ask Tell Asks. Those are your 3 big ones: is get leads, get some sales, actual cash in the door per day, and get your Ask Tell Asked, which is another version of getting that bigger sale. Those have to be carved into your day. Then throughout the week, you've got to have your fulfillment time. So you really want to look at your 5-day schedule and say, how am I going to do it? And literally do time blocks in your calendar and physically do it. You can tuck it in here, but what I find in here is you don't see the carryover. You don't see the planning for the day before, for the next day. and the next day and things like that. So visually, if you actually lay it out and start getting in the pattern, then use your technical device to put it in. But really map out your revenue producing day. You need to be making money every day. And if you're already now, I don't even know what day we are at this moment.
19th.
The 19th, thank you. I mean, the end of the month's around the corner.
Yep.
And if you're still sitting at, this is still, beginning of January, I have time, the dominoes take over very quickly, meaning if you lose your momentum, if you want a $10,000 month, I mean, you better have 5 in the door already. That should have happened by last Friday at the 15th. You should have already had 5 in. Now you have between the 15th and the 31st to get the next 5. So if that's not happening, notice that that's a bullshit commitment again. And here you are again, another year, same drama, same story. What's going to give? Like, you're the only one that gets to get up and be rigorous with yourself. So now let's move from that action to probably what's going on behind the scenes, which is your language, which is caused by your thinking. But notice your language. Your language can support your action faster than you're changing your thinking. I mean, I'm very aggressive about changing your thinking. Just decide and it's over. I mean, my new life got decided when I had my accident. I mean, it's a very different life living without a spleen and a whole bunch of other things. But I can tell you, I was with one of my great, just amazing healing friends yesterday. And, she's like, this is like a whole new life for you. I said, not really. I mean, not, like, yes, it is. But if I had to pick another one, I'd pick this over diabetes all day long. I'd pick this over seizures all day long and carrying an EpiPen. I just have to carry a whole bunch of antibiotics. So yeah, it's different, but it's that fast. And so I either can whine and cry and remorse about it or say, well, shit, it happened. It happened for a reason. So I don't believe in any coincidence. So what am I supposed to learn from it? Let's get going. And you can be that fast. You can't say, well, that's just you, Laurel. No, I've never been through a big trauma accident. It's your whole mindset of how you want to live your life. So some of you, I would say your why is not big enough and your commitments aren't strong enough. So you use passive language. Like, I told somebody the other day, Damon, who works with us, I said, people say, well, how are you feeling? I said, it's sort of like the same thing. Well, how's your day? So how are you, Thomas? I mean, how are you? And now how are you feeling to me? And I get if you really care about it, but most people just say it because it's like the nice thing to say. Most people say, how are you today? And you're like, because fine's going to be the answer. And you really don't give a shit. You're just doing it because it's polite. And you're using like inherited social niceties. And I'm not saying be rude either. I'm just saying, are you always in a pattern of unconscious behavior, which is causing the same thing? Or are you really getting committed? Like, notice when you say if versus when. Like, commit this year to never using the word if. If means there's a lot of circumstance and excuses that could come in. It's when you're making 10,000, what are you going to do with it? Now I want you to stretch it to the next. Get so committed that 10,000 has to come in, that you are going to now invest in what? Like, get committed. Like, are you going to do a construction loan? Are you going to do flip? Are you going to buy some Bitcoin or digital currency? What are you going to do? And like, it's not negotiable. And so notice how you negotiate with yourself. You like say, it's fine. How's your day? You use like simple passive, language patterns. Mm-hmm. Thomas, anything you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, actually 2 things. The first is that a lot of folks too, and I love your saying, Laurel, is so what, now what, right? Mm-hmm. So many people allow the past to be the detriment to what they're looking forward to do in the future, or they always revert back to it. And I love your response to that. It's like, the past is in the past. It doesn't matter. Move forward accordingly. Now, there's one great question here that I think that dovetails perfectly with what you're talking about. Jason asks, it seems like there's a lot of groundwork to be done before you get to income producing activities. How do you get through that faster? And I would actually think you would say otherwise. Correct, Laurel?
Yep, I would say otherwise. I think that the analysis in you, and I could speak straight to you, Jason, actually there's several of you that is that same pattern, is you need to be selling very brief snippets of education. And I know you like selling the banker book, but it's a big book. So I would do like a simple report of why have banking insurance as an alternative in your life, and do a 5-10 page synopsis of that. I can help you, I can interview you, and we'll get it down and sell that report for $10, $15. So you're constantly lead generating on a simple little item. Like, you all got to get that 5, 10, 15, or not 5, but 10, 15, 20, $25 item that you can constantly sell. Now on the internet, you do a few other things. Like right now we have a campaign for $1.99 going on. And I want like our Expression of Your Power relaunch, that's $27. I want our game relaunch, that's $97. So we're going to have very soon all sorts of different funnels and campaigns generating small sales on the internet. Ideally, that's where you want to get. But in the meantime, all of you should be in the Graduate Marketplace by now. So this Friday, we're doing another marketplace. So those of you that have already attended the Meetup and Marketplace, now you're in graduate land. So from 3 to 6, you want to practice making money. So now practice, Jason, come up with just a report. It doesn't have to be done right now. Just try it. Just see, for $20 is a 20-page report on how banking insurance can totally change your legacy and your ability to save money and put money away. I mean, most people don't know how to put money away. So it can be like a bank account where you can keep putting money in it, and then you have to be more thoughtful about taking the money out. So I would come up with a very quick synopsis. I would not type it, I would talk it, and then have it transcribed, have a 20-page report for $20 on how to be your bank. And do that every day, and then work with, I don't know if you're working with Thomas or who you're working with to get your website and your web pages up, could be somebody in your family, but then get it on the internet, get that as a lead gen, right? And then start, building where we get more and more people coming to the website to download that report. And then that report, builds to the banker book, and then builds to, a session to get an insurance application and push. So the other piece of your language to your action is notice like what's going to get the results. You have to get a credit card to get the money, or you're going to have to get a wire. You're going to have to get to that end point. A lot of you're talking too much, and you're making very like light, casual statements. I know, Steve, you had a whole bunch just at the tip of your tongue right before our broadcast. Why don't you just, say some from out there, just some of the passive language patterns, like maybe I'll do that. I think I'll have a good day. How are you? If that happens.
There's a lot of them that are, let's get together, or you're in conversation with somebody. It could be a business transaction. It could be a friendly transaction. And it turns into, we'll make a date. Let's connect next time you're in town. Or I'm sure all of you have said things like, we'll talk about that on the next call, but you're not really committing to a date, a time, and what the follow-up is going to be. It's very passive.
Yep. And there's no agenda, and there's no, what are we going to meet about? Let's talk about that later. That's an easy one. Well, what are we going to talk about and when? And I love when people say, we'll have to talk about that. Like we're in a meeting. I just had this happen yesterday, and they said, we'll have to talk about that. I said, this is talking. We're talking right now. So we're not going to move around this conversation. We're having the conversation because we're talking. This is talking. So let's get to the proper conversation, a very straight conversation, instead of, walking around all the bullshit. So this is you driving it though. So a lot of, especially those of you, there's a lot of big table people here. Steve has cut the big table into 3 replays. And then we isolated 3 very specific ones that we want you to really listen to again, like my sales systems conversation, Randy's how to build the business plan conversation, and then Martha's entrepreneurial leadership conversation. So this is leading at that next level. The other way I want to frame it, Glenn Morshower, we need to have him back. I got to take a note of that. We need to have him back this year. I love Glenn. So Glenn is a massive actor. He was the general on Transformers. He was in Bloodline. Oh my God, that man's in so many movies because he's just like a very, I shouldn't say generic actor, because once you get to know him, he's very definitive on how he behaves as an actor. But love that guy. And he, we were sitting at dinner, and some of you might have heard this, but I love the point of it is maybe like, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I set a time up to go to dinner with Thomas and his family, right? Because I wanted to when we set up the meeting. But then as time went on and things, a bad week, something happened, a good week, whatever, the kids, schedules changed around. When it got to that dinner, date, instead of going out of obligation, not really wanting to go or feeling pressured to go, even out of it's your own commitment, like he said, why don't you give yourself a break and just call and say, I know we set this time up. I want to honor my word, but I'd really want to be there when I really want to be there. And I had something happen. It doesn't even matter. You don't have to tell them the story. Just say, I'm just not in the space to do that commitment. So can we just reschedule? And now that's not like blowing off your commitment. It's a very purposeful reschedule, but there's an other side to it that some of you are just blowing off everything. and you're postponing it and you're not using it. So be very mindful about, your agenda. When you have a call, what are you talking about? What's the outcome of the call? What's the next step from the call? Be that way with your clients, be that way, just with who you're leading. It's critical. It'll change your entire life when you start like making and keeping very specific or purposely rescheduling. But I'm not talking blow off. There's there's a long walk between those two conversations. So I kind of hesitated saying it because I don't want you to use it as an excuse. But watch that language. Or, like you said, Steve, before, well, let's get together when you're in town. Well, yeah, well, when are you coming to town? When is that all happening? And, people said, well, I'd love to watch Logan play ball this year. I was like, well, here's the schedule. Show up and fly to Savannah and drive to Statesboro, Georgia. I'll meet you, Savannah. You can ride with me. Right? So I just, what happens is you're going to create a pattern for how you treat people is how they're going to think you behave. And they're not going to think you're committed. And I can tell you, like from our side, when we see you first join the table and, in the beginning, we know you're moving around, trying to make decisions, trying to understand money rules. But when you're really inconsistent and you move in and out, unless you stop that behavior, you're not going to be a good partner financially for anybody because you can't run a company that way. And you're a horrible investor that way. So just notice your languaging patterns, like down to like really specific things, but, start it with getting up in the morning. I mean, your brain turns on before you you wake up. So notice what it's thinking about, notice what you're allowing and get in a very generative mode. Like, what are you going to do today? What's going to get accomplished today? And remember, you got to get 21, minimum of 2 sales or whatever your funnel says. And you got to have some ask to last time. Notice it is all about marketing, sales, and generating cash flow every day, 5 days a week. Now, once again, you get that moving, you can hire more team to take some of those roles. But in the beginning, it is you. And to your point, Jason, you don't need to have anything but that quick. Like right now, I'd love for you this Friday to sell 5 $20 reports, 10 $20 reports, and just sell them. And then, then call me over the week and say, oh my God, I sold them. And like, we can just get on a quick an hour phone call is going to be way more than 20 pages. Or just complete download. You transcribe it. It's a great report. It could sit in a PDF, good enough, and get it out. Anything, Steve, Thomas, you guys would like to add?
No, I think it's perfect. I mean, right now there's such a focus on commitments and really being commitment oriented versus interested. And, just like the raw thing you were talking about earlier, it's brilliant stuff, fascinating stuff. And it all really starts about your thinking, right? How committed to it are you? And challenge yourself to catch yourself, right? Can you find yourself using passive language? Because a lot of the time, that's the first key to breaking is just understanding that you're doing it, because then you can at least address it and say, oh, I'm doing it again. I need to fix that. Don't beat yourself up at first, just understand you're doing it to avoid the pattern or to do the pattern interrupt and then change your behavior.
Yep. A few things. So Bitcoin is real. Cryptocurrency is real. There's a variety of ways, Wendy, to buy it. The safest way we know is through your Roth or through an IRA. Wendy, are you US or Canada? So those of you in the US, I would go through Chris Klein's IRA Bitcoin because it has IRS and SEC protection. We're launching some very like more promotional coins. As far as UK, I mean, in general, I know a lot of people go to Coinbase, but they do take a high commission, but that's a pretty reputable platform. Genius, I think, is another reputable platform. So you can start there. Candace, you said you're applying for working capital. So here's the thing with all of you looking for capital. If you've never done it before, you're going to have a harder time because you don't have a good management team. So you're going to have to put a team around that. And the other thing is a really good business plan. So the business plan that Randy, went through, and you guys have all had access to it. You just got to go out and do it. When you talk to a credit, company or even a hard money lender, you want to come with a plan. Say, this is my plan. I'm going to make this kind of money. I'm going to do these kind of projects. This will be the return of those projects. And by having that conversation, you will get, you can't say, well, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I've never done this before. No one's going to give you money. You've got to speak to what you're going to, you got to speak to your future. You got to speak to the plan and then follow the plan. It's essential that you do it that way. And getting on other people's teams is one of your fastest way to do it. I mean, I never did any of my original real estate deals by myself. I always partnered on teams to do it. And there's a lot of access to money. Money is everywhere right now, but you got to have the right team and the right plan to go get that kind of capital. So in the UK, I would probably lean towards, it's Genius, right, Thomas? Genius is the platform.
I don't know about that one. I've used Coinbase, and there's a number of exchanges out there. Partly depends on what coin you're looking to get and what your wallet solution is. And so to each their own. I know Coinbase is popular, but again, like Laurel said, the commissions are kind of a pain in the ass for it. But it's done some remarkable things this year. And you got your one at what? It was 8,000, 4.
I got some at 4, some at 8, some at 9. And some at 18. I know.
And we're at what, like 30, it's been like between like 35 and 40 all week, and they're saying 150 by the end of next year. So it's real. Where and again, if it's going to go, projected, again, we're not saying anything, but from 40 to 150, 3% now, to each their own. So, but Coinbase is a good one, but there's plenty of others that are out there. Just do your due diligence.
Yep. And as far as a Cash App, Venmo, all of those are fine. But a lot of that is for like little stuff, like you go out for dinner, you want to pay somebody back, or you want to send them a little birthday gift. That's not business stuff, right? Minimum is PayPal, and get to Stripe, get to Square, get those kind of accounts to make money. That's not for Bitcoin or digital currencies. We will be, I have a call with Chris later this week, and Thomas and I will be actually setting up a schedule. We will be doing a crypto education, 3-4 weeks of, how do you do it? What do you do? How do you use it? How do you transact with it? So that'll be coming as well soon. And so what's your action for today? Get back out to Millionaires in Training. That is where we're going to ramp up our Facebook interaction. That group will be where we're going to interact. We may be building some other groups on other platforms. Some of you don't want to use that lovely platform anymore. But for now, that's where we are, Millionaires in Training at Facebook. Do your hashtag 2021 commitment. And then behind it, what's your revenue producing action for the day? And if you really are that unaware, then literally journal it. Like open up a notebook and start from the minute you get up till the minute you go to bed. Do it several days in a row and notice your pattern. Notice how much you wander off to the laundry room, you wander off to go make some tea or lunch, you wander out to take a little, whatever you're going to do, versus I'm going to purposefully live this day and line out that day. Those of you that are with us in bigger programs, tables, and coaching, go through a revenue producing day and really line it out and be rigorous with yourself to hold to it. No excuses. By the way, you need to tell your family and friends that are used to calling you all day long and FaceTiming you whenever the hell they want, you are unavailable. You're in the middle of a meeting and you will call them when you have time. The best times to reach me are on weekend evenings or Sunday. Like give them a time frame when to reach you. Like my mother would never call me in a business day. Now I had to train her, it took a little while, but when you just don't answer, they'll get trained. You teach people how to treat, right? How you treat them and vice versa. So you just don't answer. Don't even answer to reschedule. You just say, won't answer now. I'm going to take my business extremely serious this year, which means between, this time and this time, I am unavailable. I am in meetings and focus 100% on new revenue producing activities. And then watch your language patterns. There'll be no passive. Or last thing I'm going to leave you with, and then we're going to wrap for today, is a lot of women will use like buffer or excuse language. So I'm brand new at this, or I've never done this before, or I'm not feeling well. Like don't start with any of those comments.
Right.
You start with, I'm Laurel, I'm a money expert. How can I help you? And we just get to it. Like I took a little tiny, 30-second, intro today to kind of catch you all up. I'm fine. I'm going to live. It'll be good. I just got to figure out a new little lifestyle here. And away we go. So, we'll deal with it. It's not going to be some new story. It's not going to be a long drawn out story. It's not going to wreck 2021. It just happened. It did. And now we're on. And I just don't want to repeat that because a lot of you could use a story for 6 months and be down for 6 months and blow the year for 6 months. So you're at the 19th, my friends. Next week we'll be in the 20th. A month is about over. You got a little bit of time to not blow it and get 10,000 a month because that was the big goal for a lot of the chat on the side. So again, if you're listening through the podcast or other channels, go to asklaurel.com, ask questions, put in your name, phone number, email, say, I have a request, I want a phone call with somebody from Laurel's team. We have a huge team staffed up for this year, and they will get to you right away. So thanks for being on this Ask Laurel. Let's rock 2021. We plan on it, and we plan on you being superstars. So thanks for being on today. We'll be back next Tuesday, 12 noon. Take care. By the way, table, do not miss the laser call, 4 o'clock today, 4 o'clock on Tuesday. Be back live. Cheers.